Let's go, boys. How do I look? Hair's getting long. Lights are on. It's a late night. Welcome back to Life the Germ. I have been feeling extremely unmotivated to cook these days. I'm going to be honest. So, played volleyball tonight and didn't have the frozen pizza. So, we cop the bag. You know what I'm saying? So, we're going to try to make this one quick so I can feast and get this uploaded. But yeah, pretty solid week. Should say weekend. I had one of my closest friends from high school and his wife over for the weekend. Shout out Justin and Emily for the one time. We did a lot of stuff. They got to see my lab, got to see the science side of me, and what else? What else did we do? We went to a lot of good breakfast places. Went to a Rockies game, which I have a story for you guys, but I'm gonna save it for another episode because the story is kind of based on some wisdom of some future wisdom of the week that I wanna look at, and I'm not excuse me, I'm still kind of like working through the kinks a little bit. So I'm gonna hold off on that. But really funny story that happened. And then kind of a side thing, like the last thing we did before we left is we went up Pikes Peak, which is like one of two 14ers that you can drive up. And dude, that road is sketch. Like they're like probably two guardrails the whole way up, and you're like just all the way up there. And I'm not it's way more scary going up in a car because as opposed to like hiking the trail, which I usually do, because like I have a lot more control of my body than I do a car, I feel like. But yeah, we made it to the top. I don't know, we made it to like probably 12,000 feet elevation, and all of a sudden Justin's like, I don't feel good. And I'm like, what, bro? And he's like, let's stop here. And I'm like, no. I'm like, there's no way we're stopping. Um, and even I, like, for living in Colorado, I was feeling a little lightheaded, but I kind of like that feeling. My friend on the other hand does not, and he was like, "Give me off this," but I'm like, "Dude, like we paid like $60 to go up." I was like, "We're gonna make it to the top, and you're gonna like it," and he did, and it was good, but um, pretty solid views. Um, but I had this like thing in my dining room where basically I just like write the date for whatever 14ers I do, and I was like, maybe I could low key check that off, but I didn't hike it, so I probably won't do that. But overall, pretty solid weekend. I did. I'm like gearing up for this marathon. I think I was telling you guys about. This is like November 2nd, so that's like the big thing that I'll probably like keep dropping throughout as the months go by. But um, yeah, I did 17 on Sunday, 17 miles. I was just so cooked. Like, dude, I bought this belt and it was like, I don't like it, like it, it ended up like chafing my waist to the point of like just red. And that was like not very comfortable. So belts are pretty common if you want to like bring food with you or bring like some water, because 17 miles, like you're not making it 17 miles without water. Like you just get so thirsty. So I brought like a little like 18-ounce little water thing that was super helpful. But um yeah, the chafing not great. I didn't like the chafing on my stomach. That was not ideal. But I guess I told the volleyball story last week, so I'll tell one this week. Dude, like I swear something weird like always happens. We're in this co-ed league that's 6v6, and um dude, some of the people that run the league just take their job so serious. Like this is rec. Like we're not. I just got to reinforce this. Like this is rec. We didn't have enough people. We only had 5 people, and since it's co-ed, there's this like dumb rule. Well, I don't know. I guess it's fair or whatever. Like it needs to be like equal gender on the court at all times. So like it needs to be 3 girls, 3 guys, and we only had 5 people, so we're already down a person. So we're already at a disadvantage, and then we only had 5 guys, 1 girl. and like, or 4 guys 1 girl, and like the opposing team, we just check to make sure, like, is that all right? Like, we're not that good anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then like halfway through the second set, like the girl like runs the league, like one of the people who run the league, like come over and she's like, um, you guys have 4 guys and only 1 girl on the court. And we're like, yeah. And they're like, just so you know, none of these games that you won or lost, like none of them count. And I'm like, okay. Like, it's literally rec. It's just so stupid. And she's like, so what do we didn't really care, but we're like, what do we got to do to make them count? And she's like, well, if you want to do 3 guys 1 girl, that would count. And it's just like, dude, like, we're already down a player. Like, so we're like, okay, for sure. And she walks away and we just do 4 guys 1 girl. It's like, it's just stupid. Like, we lost all the games anyways. It was like, it didn't really matter. Like, it's just dumb though. It's like, dude, some people just take their, like, it's literally not even like, it's one thing, like, if it's a high-skilled job that you really got to lock in for, but, dude, it's volleyball. Like, it really isn't that deep. Like, it really isn't. And I'm sure, like, the thing of it is that if it was that deep, the other team would have been like, no, like, we'd prefer if you, like, follow the rules, But, like, the team didn't say anything, so, like, we didn't really care, It's just, like, I don't know. It was just weird, but... I think with that, we'll get into the wisdom of the week. I'm getting a little loopy with no dinner, so we'll see how this goes. But the title for this episode, if you can guess where it's from, please put it in the comments. I like beg you, because I will be honest, the name is not original. I took it from like somewhere, like I'll just say it's like one of my favorite things. I won't say like what it is, but or where it's from. But I think if any of you guys like have any bit cultured like at all, like you'll know where it's from. But yeah, this gets into the idea of something I've been thinking about a lot, and I guess sort of something you comparing myself as a kid to myself now. I think it's like interesting how this has swapped. But when I was a kid, I'd often get like I think it would especially be to like my parents. Like I'd just have no filter, and I'd kind of sort of treat them like how I would treat my friends and not really have a filter around them. And with my friends, I'd say like insults and stuff as jokes, and like to your parents, like there was a certain level of respect that you should have for your parents that like I just sometimes like just wouldn't have a filter, and it like I just say some things that like shouldn't really have been said. But like I don't know, I like got better at that, but like I continued with my friends to just kind of say what was on my mind and do things that like without really thinking about them, some of which you regret, but some of which like you don't really. And it's interesting that now that I'm at the age that I am, 24, if you couldn't tell, I'm looking young as hell. 24, and I feel like it's sort of flipped where, and I think eventually it'll become this like happy medium a little bit, where I do things and I say things with so much of a filter that it almost like, I feel like it almost hinders myself a little bit. And the filter in this, what I'm talking about is called, I think I came up with like a pretty good name, and I just call it thought crime. And this gets at this idea like which you can probably like infer, but when I was a kid, whatever like instantly came to my mind, I would just do and not really think about it, right? I would say it or I'd just do it, and I wouldn't really. I think it's that like more like. I do think it's like the more rational side of your mind like kicking in, because being a human, I know you guys can relate to this. Like there is this split second. Let's keep with this example of like a decision you make, right? There is this, say like this is a decision like you have to do in the moment, right? You don't have really time to think. That there is this one split second where you're like, oh, I should do that. And in that split second, if you do it, you don't really think about it, and your brain doesn't fully have time to like process all the consequences and like, oh, what happens if I do this versus this, blah, 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 blah. It's sort of like in chess, like if you were to just move the piece without thinking, right? Which for chess, that might be bad, right? Because you're not thinking 2, 3 moves ahead. But for life, there are certain instances where I feel like it's better if you don't think about the consequences, right? And you don't like let that rational side kick in. Because what I've found lately is that like for decisions I make that I don't have a lot of time to think about and like analyze all the different moves and possibilities, like I find myself letting the rational side sort of overcome my mind too much. And it is like this, I would like have the polar maybe comparison of instinctual decision making versus rational decision making, where rational is like very logical, you're thinking through everything, which in my job I think I'm used to, because I'm like every step I'm like, okay, if I do this, what are the consequences of this? But then there's this instinctual thinking and decision making where you just don't really think, you just do it. And I think especially when I'm outside my job just having fun and like in social settings, I really do think it's that instinctual sort of mindset that just makes life more fun. And I think I've gotten into this mindset where I've like said a lot of things that I regret, which, you know, is, I think has sort of trained my mind to just wait a little longer to let that rational side come. But then when the rational side does come, I find that a lot of what I was going to say, even if it wasn't bad or at all, like just like totally shuts down whatever I was going to do. And I end up like not really making the decision that I wanted to make. And like in the moment I had like, I sort of had like, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I let the rational side take over. And then I'm like, oh, wait, maybe not. You know, even though it's like, it could be like the dumbest reason. And I'm just like, oh, there's this small chance that I say this dumb thing. And then like, you know, it doesn't end up like, oh, this person is going to like perceive me in this way because I said this stupid thing. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's dumb. I know it's dumb, but it just like happens. And I'm like, I think what I'm realizing is I'm like trying to reprogram my brain to, instead of using that rational side, just like immediately when I like think of something, I'm like, I'm just gonna do it, you know? And it sucks because in my job, like I have to use the opposite side, right? So I'm like half programming my brain at my job to do one, and then out of the lab, I'm like programming my brain to do another thing. So I think like I could see how my mind could get like confused about the two differences, but I often find like, especially in the social setting, like that's just when you're most like that instinctual, like just doing you is like, that's when you're most like in your groove and in tune with yourself. Cause you're really just following your instincts. You're not really thinking about it too much. Like, and that's the thing. Like I really like to think about things at a super high level. So, I think my mind is sort of like, oh, think about it deeper. But sometimes like you don't want to do that, right? So I like everything else that I like repeat time and time again on Flying Intuition is like, it's this sort of balance where you're like trying to strike this, and I think with wisdom and experience, you gain an understanding of, when to apply each mindset to certain situations. And yeah, like I think I'm becoming better about it. But the thought crime is when you should have probably just done the instinctual thought that came to your head, but you let your rational side take over and sort of suppress that like little bit of who you were, right? Because that was your instincts and that's who you are, right? That's like in tune with you, right? And suppressing that is sort of thought crime, right? Because you're suppressing your instinctual thoughts, which, you know, we might not all like our instinctual thoughts and they might not always sound the best coming out, but at the end of the day, like, that's just flow of conscious, right? And sometimes I think you need to say those things to to really harness like who you are as a person, right? And yeah, you gotta bite the bullet. But yeah, this is what I was gonna say is like it's one of those things where um at my job, you don't want to apply this mindset of like, do it and then ask for forgiveness after. But I think in a social setting, if you say something and it doesn't sound the best on the way out, at the end of the day, that's you. And I think there's an argument for asking for forgiveness in that case and understanding that, yeah, it was my instincts and I trusted them. And okay, this time they let me down, but I guarantee majority of the time, like it's going to be not the right thing, but it's probably not going to be like the end of the world of what you're saying. And, it's just more organic that way. And it just makes life more fun when you're just like going off your flow state and kind of just off the dome, like whatever comes to mind, like you're just going to say it. So, that's Thought Crime. And I hope you guys enjoyed, give you something to think about. Maybe, next time you're out and about, instead of like, sort of like second guessing yourself about like what you're going to say in a conversation or, you're nervous to meet someone new, just say it, and if it comes out the wrong way, it's like, okay, well, maybe that person doesn't think the highest of me, but at the end of the day, like, who you are, right? This is kind of unrelated, but, I think especially in the position I'm at where I'm like, all my like super, super, super close friends and friends that I've had lots of years of experience with, like just going through stuff together, are all back in Wisconsin, right? And then coming out here and sort of not having those people to almost like confirm for me, I think that, wait, I am like a good person, right? Because I have these other people that I consider to be good. Therefore, I think my mind kind of concluded like, oh, because you're with other good people, then you must be like a good person yourself because you have all these really like, long-term relationships that you've like gone through thick and thin with, right? And then coming out here, it's like, I think my mind's been like questioning that a little bit. Like, oh, you don't have a history with, like a lot of these people that you run into on like a day-to-day basis, and it's like, are you really that good? And I feel like for the people that are listening to this, and this really helped me a lot. One day I just thought, because I was like, I don't know, I was doing this thing again where I like was second guessing myself. And then I realized I was like, wait, I'm a good person though. So, and this doesn't justify like all your actions, but I think it justifies a lot of like of these mistakes where you go instinctual mode and you make a mistake, right? Everyone does this. It happens. No one can be perfect. And I don't know, I'm really hard on myself when it comes to that. And I'm like, I make a mistake and then I'm like, I start questioning like, oh, am I a good person? Like, is this because I did this? Like, does that change who I am? Or, like, but then I thought back and like I stepped back and like looked at all the decisions I've made and, I think a lot of people out here, there's some people that, feel certain ways about me, neutral, positive, negative, it doesn't matter. But I think that has made me question it a little more. And then one day I was just like, wait, it's really easy. And you're just like, you think about all the things you've done that have culminated into who you are. And I'm like, yeah, like ethically, I feel like most of the time I'm always weighing like what is the quote unquote like right thing or ethically like morally correct thing to do, right? And I think that's like what's important. And questioning like if I followed that, and I'm like, hell yeah, I followed that. And because of that, I'm like, at a certain point, like you can't have friends tell you, you can't have anyone else tell you. It has to be you telling you like you are a good person. And anyone listening to this, like likely you are too. And if you're not, then I hope you're on the road to like improving to get to that point. But I feel like for most of us, it's like at the end of the day, everyone's just doing the best they can to get by, right? And when you think about that, it's like you think about all of the mistakes you've made and you know, none of us are perfect, and we all have days that we make mistakes. And but at the end of the day, it's like we're human. That's gonna happen, and that doesn't change the fact that like we're good people, you know. And um, yeah, I think that's some food for thought. Kind of unrelated to thought crime, but something I've been thinking about. And um, hope you guys have a good day, night, afternoon, whenever it is that you're tuning in. And I'm your host, Jeremy, and I'll catch you in the next one.